Hi, everyone. My name is Anita Ho, and I'm a faculty member of the Center for Applied Ethics at UBC. It's my honor to be part of the KDocs Film Festival of 2021 and to be here to present iHuman by Tanya Hessing-Shai. This film really speaks to me partly because of my research on the ethical dimensions of using AI in healthcare. So in recent years, computer scientists have been building algorithms to try to help doctors make more accurate diagnoses and predict illnesses before they occur. Using massive data sets of various kinds of information about us, or what we sometimes call big data, AI is used to detect cancer and predict fall risk for older adults. These technologies promise to provide better preventive care and more personalized care. They also presumably would help in the long run to reduce healthcare costs for all of us. At the consumer level, some of you may already have been using various kinds of health applications on your phones to track your activities, your diet, sleep patterns, and so on and so forth. But as many of these technologies promise that they can do various kinds of things for us and even better, sometimes I do wonder whether they are over-promising or under-delivering. Or are they really that much better than what humans can do? And can they really do it for cheaper? So part of my research is looking at the potentials, the hypes, and misuses of these technologies. I look at how we can better or more ethically provide some of these developments. As you see in this film, AI is really booming in many different fields. We are told that it will help to personalize our shopping or video streaming experience, give us more relevant choices based on our past internet searches, democratize access to information, and help the world be a better place. But as you will see, this film is going to challenge a lot of these assumptions, or at least promises. From fake news to autonomous weapons to facial recognition that may target various minority populations, iHuman is warning us of some of the worst case scenarios. I do have to say, we're still quite far from the achieving artificial general intelligence that some of the commentators are hoping for or are worrying about. But even where we are at, I do think that there are some causes for concern or at least caution. But still, I guess it doesn't necessarily mean that all forms of data collection about personal information or all types of artificial intelligence are bad. So as you watch this film, I would encourage you to think about if there are fundamental differences between private corporations, they can be still big corporations, or versus governments in collecting and using our data. And how might you distinguish legitimate from illegitimate collection or the use of our data in building artificial intelligence? Keeping in mind that sometime down the road, as technologies continue to advance, we may have very little control over what the artificial intelligence may be able to do. We have already been told that we are now living in a world of surveillance capitalism. A lot of what we generally consider to be private, intimate human experience, such as who we are friends with, how we interact with people, or what things we want to buy, how we shop, how we stream various kinds of videos, including, for example, what films you decide to be watching. All of this private human experience is now sometimes being seen as free raw data for companies to use, to collect, and to build digital behavioral profiles about all of us. And some of these companies would use these profiles to sell us what they say are what we want. So one of the questions that I ask is, do we think that these practices are actually promoting our choices? Or are these companies predetermining how or what we would choose? As an ethicist, I often think about rights and privacy and how we can hold businesses, professionals, and governments accountable. But I also recognize that companies are able to collect our data partly because perhaps we are letting them do that. Many of us are very willing to post private and intimate details about ourselves on social media for strangers to see, to like, to share. And I sometimes wonder whether it's because people are not informed about their privacy or how some of these practices may compromise their privacy, or is it that people are actually willing to forfeit their rights or their privacy for other kinds of connectivity, free services, or convenience. Because if it is the latter, then perhaps even ethicists like myself would have to take a step back to say, perhaps people are willing to make that trade-off, to give up some of their privacy, to give up some of the rights for the conveniences. I really don't know what the answer is. And so if you want to share your thoughts with me, please feel free to reach me, of course, on social media. But I also think that it's interesting that many people who are willing to post everything online won't trust the government in taking any information about them, even if that kind of data or information collection may be used for building better infrastructure or better healthcare system. So think about the current pandemic. We're still battling COVID-19 in British Columbia, Canada, and many other parts of the world. So how do we distinguish private companies in collecting or selling our data from governments tracking our movement, our contacts, exposure, our hospital utilization information for better public health or pandemic planning? For example, we can use artificial intelligence to predict where the next COVID surge might be, and that may help us to really prepare hospitals, clinics, and the health authorities accordingly. This film is going to portray a pretty bleak picture for you. And perhaps I was watching it in a very dark room that scared me even more. But I do think that we can focus on a more positive way of thinking. To use this film as a way to think about a call for action, a call for social justice. So as KDocs Film Festival participants, how may you actually think about pushing companies or governments to be more transparent or more responsible in their collection or the use of our data? And as private citizens, as consumers, what are we willing to sacrifice in order to build a better collective future for our humanity? You'll see very soon that the film starts with a quote from Stephen Hawking. So I will end my short presentation here with another quote from Peter Diamandis. He says, and I quote, "It isn't artificial intelligence I'm worried about. It's human stupidity that concerns me." So on that note, for the sake of our humanity, let's all be smart about artificial intelligence or anything else. Enjoy the film.